your class?
We have, that's not Richard.
No, that's Roger.
That's Roger.
Richard's, he cut his video off.
Okay, well, thanks to all you hardy folks who dared come south of the river for this meeting.
Passport control was really.
I know it. It's tough getting across that.
Yeah, we like to watch who's coming into our area.
Yeah, we do have one southerner here. A few items of business. First, welcome some new members. Paul Brinkman joined October 9th.
Paul's not here.
Paul's not here. Will Hoffaker?
Right here. Yeah.
Will, welcome.
Yes.
What do you like to take pictures of? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I try to take pictures of anything that opportunity provides. Usually, I do a lot of flower type photography, macro, but I really try to take pictures of everything.
Everybody.
Office bird.
Okay. Ed Schrader. Right here. Ed was here last time and now is a full-fledged member. And Steve Ferretti, who I think has been here before. And
Yes.
Is now signed up.
Yes.
Good. Great. Thank you. We have to discuss the holiday get-together, which is going to be our next meeting. And there are some questions. Everybody brings something to share in the way of food. That's your responsibility. Board members will bring stuff. But the question before the house is, are spouses invited? Are we going to invite our better halves or not?
Where's it going to be located?
Where is it going to be located?
Libby Mill, isn't it?
Libby Mill?
Yeah,
I think it's Libby Mill Library.
And at the regular time.
The regular time and place, but we will be chortling and having a good time instead of this usual boring stuff.
Just purely a social type thing, or
It's a social type of a thing. They will have a sort of a running camp. You're going to do their usual running.
Yeah, I'm going to try and do a video like I did last year, but what I was thinking about doing is including all of the photo share pictures from the year that I've got.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Run that up.
That would be nice. So that's what it will be. You can stand here and look at your shots for the year.
And eat.
And eat. Yeah, there will be food. But the question before the house is this just for us or spouses also?
I don't see why we can't have spouses.
Agreed. Significant others. I see lots of nods. Okay.
Yeah, it's a large room.
It has been decided.
My wife gets a knee replacement December 6th, so she won't be here.
Okay.
I probably won't be here.
Spouses or significant others will be welcome. All right.
What's the date it is?
That's the second Monday.
The second Monday, whatever that is.
Yeah. The 11th.
The 11th.
Same time?
Same time.
Same time.
Same time, different place. Notes will go out reminding everybody about that. Okay, we have a full agenda today. Our first item will be Harold, who is going to tell us how to get up in the air and take photographs. We're ready. We're ready. We want to see how this works.
I hope you got PowerPoint on there.
Yes.
I brought the drone.
Yeah, PowerPoint on one.
You got a mouse I can use as a remote, or?
Yeah, let me get it up and then I'll let you take the mouse. It's a wireless mouse.
So you can just hold and click through it. Okay, it should be under the
presentation drones.
Yeah, that's it.
I was trying to close the door. That's what it's doing. That help.
And click on slideshow.
and then click from beginning.
Oh.
Here we go.
Hold on, let me share the screen. So everybody else can see it.
That drone got eaten by the dragon, so I don't have it anymore.
Is that a generative AI?
The dragon's AI, the drone I just brought in from picture I had, and just kind of merged them together, Photoshop, and fast, the usual stuff. Not working, but I use a side button. I can leave it on the table and come over and click it. All righty. That's obviously a drone picture I took from Belle Isle. But I'm just going to go over drones and some of the rules, how to pick out a drone, just some typical shots I've done with drones and different things you can do with it, rules and regulations and other things. So I'll just move on from this. I'm in the way here, aren't I? Maybe I should just pull this. Everybody see okay?
Yeah. Yes, much better.
All right. Okay, why would you want to buy a drone? You know, I've been doing photography for a long time, and you know, you go to places like Belle Isle or the river or something, and everybody's gotten every shot from every angle possible with their land cameras. So having a drone, you have a whole new perspective. So you have a whole new range of photographs you can take with drones. And also you can get to hard to access areas. There's a couple areas. There was one in Hawaii where there's a waterfall. It was like a 2-hour hike to get to it. I got to it with the drone in less than 5 minutes to take some pictures of it. And I think I got the picture in here. I can show you later. But it's kind of fun. And you can make money with it. Realtors use it a lot. They get people that have drones and they take pictures of real estate. I actually got paid for doing one down at the Eastern Shore for somebody. So there's chances to make money with it. And aside from that, they're just kind of fun to play with and fly around with.
Are you going to talk about expense? How much does a drone cost?
Yeah. That's coming up pretty quick. There we go. All right, selecting a drone. I've actually got 2 drones. I've got this one, Phantom 4. It's about $800–900 now, something like that. Some of them are over 1,000. This is a pretty good sized drone. The one I brought today, I'll pull out and show you in a few minutes, is Mini Pro. And this is the entire drone in here, except for the charging brick. The charging brick I just stick in my camera backpack. So if you travel with it, pretty simple.
Does that $1,000 include the camera and
it's the whole thing? It's the
and the optics are good on the lenses that they
yeah. The cameras are pretty good. The camera on the Phantom 4 and the Mini Pro are both 20 meg. If you want a starter one, there's one called the Black Falcon, and there's a whole bunch of others too. A friend of mine's got the Black Falcon and actually takes pretty decent pictures. It's only got a 12 meg camera, but it takes decent pictures. If you don't want to spend a lot of money and you want to see if you're really going to get into it, you can get that for, you know, $99, pretty cheap.
Harold?
Yeah.
Where do you get these? Is there a drone store in Richmond or
Best Buy sells them. You can buy them online. You can get them through Amazon. I found DJI probably makes some of the best drones. Or most of the people I know have DJI. There are other ones. Black Falcon, I think you have to order from their site, but it's cheap and it's a pretty decent little drone. Takes halfway decent pictures. There are drones you can buy for several $1,000s we could use from DSLR. Hook it up to it. I don't know anybody that's got one of those. Mostly commercial people use these. But if you wanted to go crazy with it and use your DSLR, you can buy a drone and you can actually fit your DSLR in, hook it up to it. But I'd be nervous as hell.
Yeah, spray doesn't hit a tree.
Not only are you paying a couple $1,000s more for the drone, you've got, you know, your $2,000-3,000 camera floating up there too. That would make me a bit nervous.
How many have you wrecked?
I haven't wrecked any.
Learning.
I've had some where I felt like I've almost lost, because you can get them pretty far away. But I can show you how you can retrieve it. I've gotten nervous, gotten bad. You watch the battery on the drones. So when it gets down to a certain point, you want to start bringing it back. When I was in Utah with it, I was flying from the hotel because you can't fly in a national park. So I fly outside the park, fly it in to take pictures. So I flew it up and it was out a ways, and I didn't have a clue where it was. So I had to watch the little thing on the display to kind of bring it back. And I was at the hotel parking lot, and you couldn't see anything. I couldn't see it till it was almost directly over me.
What's the range? How far can you might you have go?
Well, the battery's about 25-30 minutes, and it can go up to about 35 miles an hour or so. So you can get a couple miles away, but you could risk losing it or getting it so far away it wouldn't have enough battery to make it home. But for selection, obviously, you want to look at cost, and you can get that one for $99, or you can spend $1,000 or more on drone, depending on how into it you are. Physical size. I've got a bigger drone, the Phantom 4, which is a good sized drone I use locally. It's good in, the bigger ones are good in high winds. They're a little more stable if you want to fly in wind or weather. Small one like this, I mean, this is great for traveling and it takes great pictures. Camera specs, got 20 megapixel on this one. You can adjust, while it's in the air, you can adjust your ISO, your shutter speed, your aperture, your EV. You can adjust all that on the fly, so to speak. The software, you can download DJI software. It's free software. You just download it off the web. And it shows, I'll show you the display in a little bit. On this one, I use my phone. Use my iPhone on this. I'll pull it out in a minute and show you how you do that. My other one, I've got a iPad mini I use, tablet. Because when you look at the tablet, you can actually see what the camera's seeing. So you can see what you're taking a picture of. And then you want to decide whether you want to just use it for, you know, your normal photography or you want to try and make some money with it. There are a lot of restrictions with drones. You do not want to fly near a military base. I found that in Hawaii when there was a waterfall in Hawaii I was taking pictures of. And one of the local authorities came over and said, there's a military installation a mile away and you're not allowed to fly over there. So I brought it right back and he just let me go. But you got to watch when you fly these things, especially in your military bases. They don't take kindly to flying drones in their military bases.
Is there a web page or anything you can go to?
Yeah, I'm going to show you in a minute how you figure out where to fly.
No.
Rules. There's a bunch of rules. You need to register with the FAA, which is no big deal. I think they just want your money. You just go on the website, answer a couple questions, put in your information, and that's all you need to do. You know, your drone information, what type of drone it is, what the weight is. There are limitations on the weights.
Now, the guy with the $99 one, we have to do it also.
Yeah. If it's over half a pound, I think. She's at the, I don't know if it's on there yet, 0.55 pounds if it's over that. Now, there are toys that are a lot smaller than that, but they're kind of crappy and you don't want to waste time. Anything over 55 pounds, and that's one of the big ones where you would use your own DSLR or actually a movie camera. Most national parks, you cannot fly your drone in. But if you're outside the park, you can fly up and over in. I've done that several times. And that rules, Usually applies to most state parks too. They don't allow you to fly a drone.
So you can't launch it within the park.
You can't launch it within the park, but you can get on the peripheral of the park. And you can launch it, fly in, and I've done that several times. I've done that in Utah. Basically, the basic registration is just for recreational photography, kind of like what we do. Commercial, you need to have pass a test to do commercial photography. Although if you just do incidental things here or there, you know, incidental pictures for somebody, it's not a big deal.
Who administers the test?
You can take it, I think you can take it online. I haven't taken it.
You can take it over by the Richmond Airport.
Yeah.
Is it an annual test?
Now you can do it various times during the year.
$250.
I haven't done that because I don't do much commercial anyway. You're supposed to keep the thing in sight, but I've had mine out of sight a lot. It just depends on where it's from and how much risk you want to take. Airspace restrictions, there are a bunch of them. You can't fly within 5 miles of an airport. But you can call the tower if you can get the number and get permission and tell them what you're doing. And you can usually get permission to fly within a reasonable distance. So if you're going to do an event that's like 3 miles from the airport and you call up and tell them what you're doing, your drone's not going to be over 200 feet while it's on the air, they'll probably just say, okay. Or you can go ahead and do it anyway. Just be aware that you don't want to get too close to the airport. Let's see, I've got that on there. You got to be under 55 pounds. And you got to stay away from emergency response. Like if there's a police event or some kind of emergency event going on, natural disaster or something, you need to be careful. You're not allowed to fly there. You can get in trouble for that. The press does it all the time. You see it on the news all the time, all these news shots. They take the drones of the hurricanes and all that stuff. They get, the news gets permission for doing that. This is basically all the different airspaces over the US. We're flying. We're flying way down in the class G spaces here. You're only allowed to go up to 400 feet, so you're well within the space. But you can't fly within 5 miles, theoretically, of an airport without permission. And as the airports get bigger, of course, the restricted space as it goes up gets wider and wider. But we're not flying up in this area anyway. So, you know, in the class B space, so it really doesn't matter. You can also find these maps online. There's a program you can get that'll show you the local maps. This basic 2 rings here is basically showing you the class C, which would be what Richmond Airport would be like. The inner circle is the 5 mile restricted, and the outer circle is the restriction above whatever that is, a couple thousand feet, 1,500 feet. You're not flying up there anyway. So you just have to keep in mind where you are. If you look at these maps, sometimes you'll see circles all over the place for helipads. I usually don't worry about helipads too much, but I do pay attention. You know, listen, if I hear a helicopter, I'll make sure I get it down at a reasonable level. Flying the drone. That's a picture I took, one of the first pictures I took out at Belle Isle. Out at the end. That's cool.
Harold, I have one question. Sure. What would happen if you got into an accident or something? Does your personal insurance cover that, or are you going to be in deep trouble?
Yeah, if you don't have insurance to cover you, like if it fell and hit somebody or hit a car or something,
or interfere with an airplane.
Yeah, if you got, well, you get arrested if you interfere with an airplane. You know, if you went out to Richmond Airport on the fringe of the airport and you were flying, trying to take pictures of planes taking off, and they caught you, you'd be looking at bars for a while.
Okay. What if your drone comes down and hits a car, say?
Yeah, you're liable for that. And they can sue you for it. So, you know, we've got insurance. That's why you don't want to fly. Like if you go to an event, you don't want to go to like a music event or a sporting event and fly over the crowd, because if the thing falls out of the sky for some reason, they can malfunction occasionally. I've never had a problem with it. But if it fell and hit somebody in the crowd, you know, you have a liability. Because when you have your drone, your name is actually on the drone.
So do you have a special insurance or?
No, because I'm careful with it. I don't fly over crowds.
If you have personal, like an umbrella policy,
Your umbrella policy
probably would cover it.
probably would cover
You'd
it.
have to check with the agent, but
You probably have to let the agent know what you're doing.
Yeah, if you let them know that you fly a drone and. Because if you hit somebody, you're in trouble.
Are you doing it for recreational or commercial? Yes.
I mean, that would be something that
Are
they
you
would
doing
need to know,
commercial,
yes.
you can actually buy it per day.
Yeah.
And your name is on it?
Yeah, the FAA requires you to just put a little piece of paper on it with your name, your the FAA approval number they send you, and the date it expires. And I can show you, I've got it on this phone here.
You should have it tell me.
I do that anyway, and then I have a telephone number on there too. So if the drone dropped somewhere and I couldn't find it, there's a chance somebody could find it and call me and I'll get it back.
Do you think a lot of people just fly their drones for not good reasons, various reasons, and just don't believe that register them?
Oh no, if you're dropping cocaine into a prison or something, you don't want to register it.
Was that shot with your phone?
No, that's with the camera on the drone.
Oh, that's cool.
But you can see it when you're flying it. You use your phone as your part of your device, and I'll show you that in a minute. But you can actually see what the camera and the drone's saying.
Your drone's kind of got a wide angle lens on it.
Yeah, I put that in wide angle.
Yeah.
Or you can adjust the lens on the drone?
Yeah, the lens has got a gimbal on it, plus you can adjust all the settings on it too. There's a lot of settings you can set.
That's the $900 drone.
Or,
That's the $900 drone.
yeah,
Better.
that's my bigger one.
Nice.
But the pictures on this one look just as good.
Really.
Yeah, they're like, if you have a new iPhone, like 14 or 15, the pictures are about that quality. Maybe sometimes a little bit.
Costs more than the drone though.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes more.
Okay. When you first get your drone, the thing you want to do is practice with it. The first thing I did was go out to one of the local high schools and out in one of the ball fields. I think that's the first picture I ever took with it several years ago. That's me standing in the middle of a baseball field out in Henrico somewhere. Big open area. I could fly it around and learn to practice with the controls and get comfortable with it.
Does it have an altimeter in it?
Pardon?
Does it have an altimeter?
Yeah, it tells you exactly the height, and you can actually see where it is position-wise. And then you can, go through all the controls, and you can practice with the settings. The camera's got a gimbal on it, so you can move it up and down or sideways. So the camera can move all over the place. You can take a straight down shot or straight ahead. You can only go up so far, obviously, because the drone itself isn't going to tilt. But doing that, I practiced. I went out a couple times and did that, and I was pretty comfortable with it. And then I went down to the river with it, flying it over the river. You lose the thing in the river, and it's gone. I know somebody that lost their drone in the river. They were going down low. They were trying to take a picture of, I don't know, a duck or something, and they got down too low, and they weren't really paying attention. And it hit a rock, and it just fell into the water and went downstream somewhere. I don't think they ever found it. This is the drone I have, and I'll show you what it looks like. I'm not going to probably fly it in here, but this is basically all it is. You just move these things out first. As the propellers you put on, there's matching propellers. There's two pairs of propellers because the pitch on the opposing propellers, these are the same, and these have a different pitch on the propellers for these here. The battery just sits up here. Like that. You want to make sure the batteries, make sure it's charged. You can see how much it's charged when you look at the display. The camera's in here. You actually take this piece of plastic off. You put that on. Then you have the controller, which is basically little handheld controllers. You have the antennas. And then these things pull down here. And you can see the little plug here. This is the plug into your iPhone or your Android phone, whatever one you have. And it just slips right in here. I have a picture of it later on. But it just slips right in here, and your phone actually gives you a display and sees what your drone is seeing. Plus, it has the buttons on it that you can change camera settings and change the altitude and everything.
I'm wondering, would you use the phone? Many of our cameras, if not all of them, have an app that you can control through your phone if you wanted to take a picture of yourself. Is that how the phone is also used, or can be used?
No, the phone's plugged into here, so it's actually an input, and there's an actual specific software you can load in the phone. And that software has the display on it. And you get a little bit of information on this screen too. There's also two little joysticks here. You just pull them out and screw them in here. So you have the joystick control here. So it's pretty convenient.
How much is that drone?
Can't remember, $700 or $800, I think $700. Batteries. TSA and airlines are getting kind of, if you travel on a plane, they're getting pretty picky. They've had a lot of fires with laptops bursting into flames and other things. But what I got is these little fireproof little packs for the batteries. And TSA, they love these things, so you can keep your batteries in. It might be a little bit of overkill because you're not doing anything, the battery's not energized or anything. But there may come a day when TSA starts requiring you to put batteries in these little fireproof containers. These things are pretty cheap, so.
You get that from Amazon or?
Well, you can get this. Yeah, I got these.
Richmond camera.
I think I bought mine directly from DJI manufacturer because it had some special. I think they had a special if you bought an extra battery, you got it for like 70% or something like that. But that's about it. That's what the drone looks like. The propellers. There you want them. Basic propellers, you just open them up. And they are color coded. They have like a little black ring or a little gray ring to match what the color. You can see that's gray, and this one's black. So this is black, so this would fit on here.
Plastic.
They're plastic. I've got an extra replaceable pair. That's all they are. They seem to be pretty sturdy and hold up. I've flown this thing. This thing's probably got 300-400 flights on it. Nice. And that's what it looks like with the phone in it. And you can see, I don't know if you can see all this, but you have your camera settings here. It has the ISO, shutter speed, your EV, the exposure value. If you get, there's a basic Mavic you can get, and you can't adjust the aperture on it. That Mavic Pro, which I bought, $50, $70 more, you can adjust the aperture. So you can go to this side button here. There's a little button here. You just touch the screen there, and you can switch between video and still. If you see the red button, you're on video. If you see a gray button, there you're on stills. A little symbol underneath it, you touch that, and it pulls up a screen. And with sliders, you can adjust your ISO, your shutter speed, and your aperture. And as you adjust it, you can see what the camera and the drone's seeing, so you can see what effect it's having. Kind of like the new mirrorless cameras. You change the settings on a mirrorless camera, and obviously the back screen shows you what's on the sensor.
What's that, navigation over the lower left?
Yeah, this is a navigation here.
That lower?
It's hard to see on this thing. The little blue dot shows where you are standing. And then there's a little red, like little diamond arrow that moves. And you can see which way the drone's facing and how far away it is. You can zoom in and out on this too. This one's like 0 to 500 feet. So if it's 500 feet away, it would be over here somewhere. That's a good way to bring it home too. You can point the arrow towards you and just bring it back. That's how I've gotten mine back several times. When I've had it so far out, I can't see where it is.
Harold, didn't DJI buy Hasselblad?
They might have. I'm not.
Yeah, I think that it's a Hasselblad camera.
Oh yeah, it's a Hasselblad camera.
Yeah.
It's a decent camera.
Yeah.
I'll show you a bunch of pictures here in a little bit. This is a blow up of what you see on your iPhone screen, and you can see the little I don't have a pointer, but you can see that's the drone there. So as the drone moves away, and you can zoom out if you want. If it's way out here, you can see which way it's pointed. And I've done that too. I've gone down to the James River and flown my drone kind of up the river a ways. And you know, gets turned around, you can't see where it is. But you just look on that little screen there and you can get it pointed back.
Is it that
you can also see what the drone sees too.
That's a return to home button, and will that bring it back to you?
There's a return to home button over here. If you touch this, it will go up to your set height, which is usually 200 feet to make sure it's above most trees and obstacles. And it will take a direct line back to where you are.
Okay, cool.
If you can see there's a little slider on the top. You see where it's kind of, yeah, there's this thing when you start, this like way over here, that's full battery. And as you go, it starts sliding back, the battery level starts sliding back. Okay. And there's two little dots towards the left. When you get between those, that's when you want to bring it back. Now, if your drone's like right in front of you, not too far away, you can just fly for a while. But if it hits that H, it'll automatically come home. Because that's when the battery's almost dead. So it'll save itself, try and save itself. But if it's too far away and it gets there, it might not make it back. So you got to be aware about how far away the thing is. And there's a bunch of these little bars here. There's one here. There's also one that shows up on the top. As if you were flying towards those trees, you'd get a warning that you're getting close to an obstacle. And if you got too close to it, that bar would turn red. And if you tried to get any closer, it would actually stop itself. It won't get something. So there's a lot on the top. It uses GPS satellite for locating where it is. So the more satellites it connects to, the better. You can see on this one, I don't know what it says up there, 15 or something like that, up to the right of where it says position. That's how many satellites it's connected to for locating the position of it. There's all these satellites sitting up there that are used for GPS, all the GPS that we have on our phones and everything. So they're pretty sophisticated. It's a lot of safety features on it too. Before you fly, that's a free program you can download from the FAA. And it shows you those circles where all the restricted areas are. You'll see that one, it'll show heliports too. And there's heliports on every hospital and they're all over the place. So I don't get too concerned about those. Just have to be aware that there is a heliport there and the helicopter could be coming in low. So just be aware. And you can hear a helicopter coming in pretty loud. So if you hear one, you want to bring the drone down a little bit. If you were doing video, I found this DaVinci Resolve. I don't know if anybody's used that for videos. You can actually take segments of your video, you can chop it up and just piece together videos. You can put a music track to it. I've done that playing around a couple times, but I don't shoot video that much. I'm mostly a still photographer. So it's a free program. It's got a little bit of a learning curve, but it's really not too bad. It's kind of fun to play with. As far as, you know, when you get your pictures back, and they're actually kept in inside there's a little micro SD card. That's where all your pictures are saved to on the drone. So if you lose your drone, you've lost your pictures. So what I do when I fly, I have 3 batteries for this. I usually do 3 flights. I bring 3 SD cards. So when the first flight comes down, I take that SD card out, put it in my bag and put in a fresh one. If I put them all on there and if it crashed on the 3rd flight, then I'd lose all the pictures. So and the micro SD, they're pretty cheap anyway.
Would your phone record some of that?
You know, no, I mean, you can take a screenshot, but it doesn't. With some of the apps, I think you can. I think there's a way to download what you're seeing at a certain time, but it's faster on you just hit that little button to take pictures on just like you do with your camera. You just
cameras are so high end these days. I would thought if you're taking up there, you'll just download.
Yeah, the program's getting more sophisticated, so it's giving you more features. But most of the stuff, I just save it all to the card. Tips for flying. You can hit a tree.
Is that your drone? Or?
No, that, I took that picture off the internet. It's not mine.
Oh.
And that's not mine either. And I have flown near birds, and I've had birds kind of, you know, they will go after them, especially hawks, ospreys. Ospreys hate them. You have to watch some of the things you got to watch out for. Winds, if it's a real windy day, you know, the thing will buff it around a lot. You might not get a good picture unless you're shooting a high speed. You know, it can affect it a little bit. What I do before I get all the settings, I fly the thing up to about 10 feet, let it hover for a minute, let it pick up, you know, all the satellites it can. And while I'm doing that, I go into the camera and I do my initial settings if I want to do, you know, 1/800 at f5.6 or whatever. I make sure I got that all set so it's good to go, and then I take off with it, take pictures. Like I said before, birds, especially ospreys. I was flying down by the pipeline by the bridge there, and there's osprey nests on top of the bridge. I was flying over there, and one osprey just came out, and you know, it looks like he didn't know what it was. He was kind of flying around it a little bit, so I brought it back down because I didn't want bird taken off with my camera. If you're new to it, I would advise keep it in sight for your first few flights, especially if you're going down the river or some of these other places, because you can lose, you get it out of sight and you can lose track with it. And if it gets above a couple 100 feet, sometimes it's hard to see. It's got little lights on it, but if it's up and down a little bit, you can't see where it is. So usually I bring it back to an altitude where I can see it before I bring it back. Check everything out. Make sure when you first fly the thing up, I bring it up, like I said, 10 feet. I check the battery, make sure the battery's got enough charge on it, everything's okay. Some of these on my other one, the battery, you have to snap it in really hard. Somebody lost their drone because they didn't snap the battery in tight all the way. It was enough to make contact, but it wasn't in all the way. And when it was buffeting around, the battery popped loose a little bit, which killed the power, and the thing, and it was gone. Luckily, he did get it back, but he had to replace a couple parts on it. Don't fly over crowded areas like we were talking before. It's a liability issue. I'll try and keep it away from crowds. I've flown it downtown, but I make sure it's, you know, away from people. Not supposed to fly over roads, but, you know, crossing over roads is probably not a big deal. And cell towers, do not fly close to the cell. Cell tower can interrupt the signal and you could lose contact with it. And if you lose contact with it, it could just sit there and you wouldn't be able to do anything with it. So it ran out of power. But you'd have to be pretty close to the cell tower, probably.
They're everywhere though.
5 or 6 feet, 7 feet.
Cell towers are everywhere.
Oh yeah. Well, you can fly past them. You just don't want to get too close to the transmitters. I think if you stay 10 feet away from it, you're probably fine. I'm just going to go through a couple of typical photos. This I think I took when I went across the Ottersfield Bridge and walked around. Was flying it over there, taking downtown shots. And these are different types, doing architecture and cityscape. That's the Westwalk building downtown. And you can get some interesting perspectives, flying it up and then looking down the building. That was actually taken with this little drone here.
Harold, you have a way of controlling the angle of the camera?
Yeah, it's got a gimbal on it, so you can pitch the camera straight down up to, you know, up maybe about like that. Okay. And then you have the full panning. So it's you got the whole thing on there. And plus you can turn the drone itself.
Right.
So you got a lot of options. This was flown from Brown Island. I took this with my bigger drone. Of course, that building's not there anymore. Another shot of downtown. It's a different angle. You can also, there's a panning mode too, where you can pick panning mode and it'll take pictures, boom, 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 and they're stitched together. So you get pretty cool stuff. My company did some work at Main Street Station. So they asked me to go down and take some pictures of the building, you know, for the marketing materials and stuff. So I went down there, got permission from the guy there. He was a little nervous about it, but he let me do it. I just stood in the parking lot in the back and took a bunch of pictures of Main Street Station. So you can get some interesting architectural aspects. That's just a shot from Belle Isle during snowy season. This shot, I actually flew the drone from Belle Isle across the river to the cemetery to get these shots. And I've done it a couple times. I've got some shots I shot over there in fall in the air with all the different colored trees. Yeah, comes out pretty cool. This is just a shot straight down at the river. You can get some interesting shots doing that in different places. This is that waterfall. It was about a 2-hour hike in Hawaii. I stood on a bridge that was, oh, that must have been 2 miles away. So I just flew the drone all the way over, and this was all like jungle, woodsy areas to get there, and I finally found it. And I took some pictures, actually lowered the drone down and got some pictures down in there too. But if you wanted to take that with a DSLR, you got to hike for 2 hours in and 2 hours out. With the drone, I had the pictures, you know, in and out, done in 20 minutes. This is down at the pipeline. This is the bridge there right before, just to the east side of where you go down onto the pipeline. There's an osprey nest up there. The one I flew up to the osprey nest, and the osprey came flying out. I didn't even know he was in the nest. He came flying out. Didn't like me getting too close to the nest. This I took I think last fall I took this. This was, I think I flew this from Pony Pasture area. That's Eastern Shore. That's the truck graveyard. A lot of people have been there. Yeah, but you can get some interesting shots there. I've got quite a few shots from different areas and tops of different trucks. The group I went with, everybody's running around with DSLRs, and I was flying my drone. Photojournalism. The statue, when we had all these, I was able to get shots that most people couldn't get above it. And you can see all the graffiti all the way around instead of the shots from just one side. Cool. And then I took it up a couple 100 more feet, and you can get the whole circle there. You can get some interesting perspectives with this.
Like the shadow.
There was only 2 other people that were flying drones that day. I was out on Browns Island and had to time it because you only had maybe 25 minutes. So I flew it up as close as I could get. I couldn't fly any closer because there was restrictions flying any closer. But I was able to get these shots with the drone. And this was just snapping off pictures real fast. And you could hear when it was first going to start. I don't know if anybody went down when they did that, but you could hear like this ticking sound when the internal ones were popping off, and then the main ones went off, and I just reeled off a whole bunch of shots. That's the next shot in the sequence. And then that shot.
Right, so that's Dominion. They might be interested.
Yeah. Sports. I have a friend of mine whose wife does a lot with polo, and they wanted to get some marketing pictures of the whole area. So they paid me to come down there and take some drone shots of the polo match. And they used this in their marketing materials and made a couple $100, and I got to watch the match for free. Plus drink some wine. It could have been, I can't remember exactly what it was now, this was a few years ago. I think it's out towards Charlottesville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's.
And that's, I kept the drone off the side. I didn't want to fly the drone over the field. I was going around the sides of the field, taking different pictures going around. You can get some pretty cool shots. And you can probably do that at soccer games and other events too. Football games, I think people go outside the stadiums and they fly it up. They don't go over the stadium, but they can get out above and get a shot that way. Travel. When I say about travel, I've talked about the state parks and all that, having restrictions. You can't fly inside state parks and national parks normally. But when you go to another country, that's a whole new thing. Some countries are pretty strict about it. They don't allow you to fly. Like if I went into Rome and tried to fly it downtown Rome or something, they would probably arrest me. But a lot of these countries, you can go online and you can actually register your drone to fly there and bring it. So every country's different. I mean, it's all over the map what they are.
Have you had any issues because you do a lot of traveling?
I brought it with me on several trips and I haven't had any issues. I was going to bring it to Thailand when I went, but the restrictions were so bad there, and threats if you fly it without permission or you do this and that, we're going to throw you in jail and blah blah blah. So I said it wasn't worth it.
And they probably meant it too.
Yeah. But I took it.
They probably didn't care if you had permission or not.
But I did take it to Italy. Italy was no problem at all. Just you can't fly within the big cities. Yeah, pretty obvious. And battery protection. I told you about these things too. Some countries, there's actually was a country that required you to have protection for some reason. I don't know why. It's best to be in a rental car or something. So, this is in Tuscany. This was an old church. It was all open. But I took a lot of shots when I was in Italy. We did this trip in the Tuscany area, and I've got a lot of outside some of the small cities and all over the place. I probably had about 200 drone shots from this trip. This is also kind of a B&B we stayed in. And the owner, when they saw I was taking pictures, he asked if they could have a couple to use for their marketing because they didn't have any aerial pictures of the thing. So when we left to check out, we stayed there 2 nights. They gave us 1 night free and they gave us our dinner last night there free. So that was pretty cool. And then when I got back, I processed the pictures and emailed it to them, and they were thrilled with them. This was taken in Hawaii, off the coast. This picture's not that, it's a little oversaturated, but you can see the trees are all blown over. It's pretty windy there out on the coast of Rome's buffeting a little bit. This is in southern Utah. I think this is the entrance to Zion. Can't fly inside the park, but you can certainly fly it outside. This one I was flying, this is the one I was talking about. I was flying from the hotel parking lot when we first got there. And I flew it up and away, and I didn't know where the drone was. It was this little thing, and it was, so without the little thing on the bottom showing me where the drone was and the direction it was going, took a while to get it back. I think I got it back and I only have like 15% battery left.
Well, I guess I'm a little confused. You can't launch.
You can't launch from inside the park.
But you can fly into it.
You can fly over into it.
That's weird.
Yeah, because I can't do anything to you. Because you're not launching or landing it inside the park. So
yeah, but you fly in airspace, I guess
yeah, but it's not,
I'm not questioning you or I just think it's weird.
That's just the stupid rules.
Yeah.
Now I think on the last day we were there, I forgot where it was. We were kind of deep into it. There were some kids that had drones and they were flying a drone back inside the park. And there's not that many park rangers, so you could probably get away with it, but I didn't want to risk getting confiscated. And I could get some pretty cool pictures on the outside.
Yeah.
I just use my DSLR inside the park.
And it's one of many rules that don't make sense.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of those.
Oh yeah. A friend of mine
finds the captain of Delta coming into Atlanta. He had one off his wing.
Oh my gosh.
Landing, I mean, you know, it's more of these things, they're crazy.
Oh, yeah, and if you get caught with that, they'd lock you out.
Yeah, you know, that,
Plus, if it got into the jet,
oh, sure,
you crash
stuff that into an engine, it's gone. But, you know, it's, all the rules are such that doesn't prevent stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't stop speaking, so.
Right.
This was in Hawaii. This was a bed and breakfast we stayed at in Hawaii. And I was out there taking pictures. You might be able to see me standing right here. I took some of these pictures, and the lady that owns it was out there watching me fly it, and I was showing her, you know, on the screen. And she was thrilled, and she wanted to use this for her marketing stuff. So she gave us a free night. So this, you get free nights to this stuff. When I got home, I sent her these pictures back, and she said a thank you, and said if you ever come again, you know, we'll give you a huge discount. So. This was a friend of mine owned a house down at the Eastern Shore, and he wanted some aerial pictures to use for the marketing stuff and for selling it. So I went and took some pictures of the area for him, and we got a free dinner out of it, so that was fun. Had a good time down there. And that's it. Any other questions?
Let me guess, you paid for your equipment with freebies.
Just about.
Nice. He doesn't have a commercial license because it's all this bartering stuff.
Yeah.
Well, commercials, if you just do incidental things like that, it's not a big deal. If you had a business, you know, where you were hired, people come to you and you have a drone, they hire you to take pictures of this and that, or an event or something else, then you probably want to take the test and get legal on it. Especially if you're doing it as a business and you're, you know, reporting it on your tax and all that. You just want to do it legit. So
what was your learning curve on it? I mean, I know you're a very experienced photographer, so but
the photography side, doing the settings and all that was, you know, I do that in my sleep. As far as flying the drone, like I said, I took it out to one of the ball fields of one of the local high schools, and just went up and just flew it around, practiced with it. It's not difficult. Because you know, the drone will go forward, backwards, it'll shift sideways, it'll turn. And then aside from that, your camera gimbal can go up and down and turn. So you have a lot, you can pretty well do everything with it. And you can do, the program's got pano mode and all this other stuff where it'll take a whole bunch of pictures and stitch them together. That's pretty cool.
I take a picture and it's fuzzy because I old lady shape. And it's flying its own, the pictures are coming out.
You'd be amazed at how stable the thing, it'll just sit there. It'll self-adjust itself with the winds and stay in one spot.
It's amazing.
Because if you're not hitting the controls, it's locked into a GPS location and it'll keep itself in that location. Now, if it's real windy, you might get a little bounce, but some of these I shot at, you know, one over 800, one over 1,000.
Nancy, you need a drone.
Just hold it.
It's a shutter speed. I mean, shutter speed, it doesn't matter too much.
Yeah.
The altimeter, is that off the GPS or is there actually a ground, you know, kind of laser to the ground?
I think it's off the GPS.
When
But it's got I mean, it's pretty accurate.
I mean, does it tell you what the altitude is in numbers, or does it tell you?
I think it's the altitude above where you're standing.
It does. Okay, so it identifies where you are, and then.
So I think the way the software works, if I was standing on the roof of a high rise, that would probably be ground zero. So if I took it below the height of the building, I'm not sure whether it registered negative or whether it freaked out. I haven't tried flying from a rooftop, but it'd be kind of fun to do that someday.
Some of the newer ones have the laser, but it only works like under 50 feet. And because it uses that when it comes down to land, so it knows the altitude off the ground.
Right. It's got sensors in too, so if it gets close to an obstacle, it'll give you a warning. It'll actually stop if it gets too close.
I've got a question here. I know you traveled to Africa, I mean, you've been there several times. Have you taken the drone?
I've debated, I haven't. Because, I don't know, I just don't wanna disturb the animals with the drone, because it's noisy. So if you bring it down to take a picture of the animals, probably gonna scare them. Or something, so. It's not, that's kind of the thing that you wanna do it. I go to Africa a lot, and I don't like to do that, I like to keep things natural, I don't like to interfere with the animals, what they're doing in natural habitat. And the people there don't like to do that either. You don't feed them, and you don't do stuff like that, so I haven't taken it there yet, although it'd be kind of interesting.
What's the next country that you're gonna take your drone to? Do you think?
New Zealand, I think, if we go next year. Cause that's got beautiful landscapes.
Yeah.
And I'd also like, I've been to Iceland, but I do get back to Iceland sometime too, with all the waterfalls and all the stuff. That'd be a cool place to take you to, and they're not too strict about it. I think you do have to register ahead of time to go to Iceland, but it's not a big deal. You can just do it online, send them their $15, and you're good to go. And then straight. And then,
Any other questions? Ed?
Carol, may I expand a little bit on this?
oh, sure.
My name's Ed Schrader. This is my first time here, so I don't mean to be Debbie down. Do you have your FAA 107?
No.
Please go get it. You have the talent and everything else. You can legalize this. I'm sure I would even use you for that stuff. I also got into this because of drones. Okay. So basically back in 2017, there was only regular pilots who were able to get a drone license to fly. Then the FAA came out and says, we'll give you a test. You know, but you had a package, you had to basically go through the terms and terminology of how a pilot flies.
Like those charts I showed you before, you
God,
have to know those charts inside out.
Oh, so I went for the FAA 107, that's what it's called. And I had to study like 2 or 3 months for it because it's so bizarre. Okay. And then the license is only good for 2 years. It costs $250. It's done at the terminal by Richmond Airport as you come into the lake. Okay. So basically every 2 years, and the rules change. All right. And the attractive part at that point in time was, wow, be on the first of the list to go out there and fly and take photos. Yeah, and I could do it legally and make money with the real estate agents because that's where the money was. You know, yeah, what? So anyway, so I kept the license up for about 1 or 2 terms. There wasn't no return on investment. So I gave that up. But once again, the photography was fine. But when I was taking the photos, even though the cameras, I have 2 Phantom 3 Pros. So even though the photos were great, and by the way, as Harold mentioned, you can also put these in automatic pay. And the tricky part is not only flying, but also working the gimbal on the camera. So you go in one direction, but you're shooting someplace else, and you're multitasking. Now, there are some things too he missed, but not purposely. You can actually have a visual observer working with you that can be further up the aisle or the road and work with you by radio to keep a visual observation of where the drone is. The other thing too is,
so you can see it on the little display there.
Yes,
because it shows you where it is. So
yes. So the other thing too is you can also use infrared. And I think 1 or 2 people here use infrared for their photography or not.
I know people that use infrared.
Yeah. Okay, so basically it's also used for search and rescue. And I've been involved with the national group doing search and rescue, but amateurs. Before the police got into it and the fire department got into it, we would call up people in the area with drones to go out and help. So it's really crazy. I definitely recommend, if you're going to do commercial, go with the FAA 107, because there have been some fines. And they started about $2,500.
But the couple things I did, like staying at the B&B.
You're fine.
I mean, that's not.
I don't know.
You don't need it for that.
No,
the incidental ones, the occasional ones are friends or whatever.
But I want to
you can do it commercially. Like if I went to a real estate broker and said, look, I'll take pictures, drone pictures for you, and if they hire me, I'd have to have 107.
Yeah, and get liability.
That's a 2-year thing, is that, but you have to redo the
Yeah.
test also?
If you want to, yes, and it changed.
Because the rules change. And the test is a pain in the butt.
Oh my God.
I looked at a sample and some of the questions, and I got about halfway through my pilot's license years and years ago, and it's all the same stuff I had to learn then.
It's basically about the same as ground school for a pilot.
Yeah.
I'm a private pilot.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
I got about 16, 17 hours.
and
And that was when I was young and couldn't afford it anyway. That's about it.
Anyway, there are restrictions every now and then. The president comes into Richmond, basically everything goes black.
Anyway, thank you, Harold. And
And
we're not-
if
we're not-
anybody decides to get a drone or something and you want some help or advice, I'd be happy to go out with you the first time you flew it. And
That,
give you some tips and
that would
stuff, so-
probably be worth it right there. Anyway, thanks, Harold. A lot.
I'm gonna have a hard time trying to keep
Oh.
all the levers and buttons.
I know, we're
It's
too
really
old
not
to
bad.
learn.
I have a hard time driving the car.
We're too old to multitask.
But you're not changing the camera settings all the time. You get it set, for the lighting, whatever, but it's not that bad. It just takes, like anything, you do practice.
Okay, anyway, thanks again, Harold.
You're welcome.
We're gonna do.
Last time you did that, you flew the drone around the room.
Yeah.
And I remember going, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna fly in here today.
It's a small room.
How much noise did they really make?
Oh, you can-
Noisy.
Yeah, you can hear them.
Oh,
Yeah.
and you can
it's like a giant bee. Well, picture a bumblebee this big, that's.
Yeah.
and you can buy some quieter colors, but they're not as the more
Like this-
vivid they are, the louder.
Louder they, that makes sense.
Like I've got the Phantom 4, which is a bigger one, that's noisier than this one.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The smaller ones are quieter, obviously. But anyway.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
We're gonna do, first I sent out the photograph for redoing, and I got a few people responding, so we'll do that first, and then we'll go into photo share. Okay, that's mine. First up, I was reading, I think I was reading some science fiction. So I decided to put the church on a planet with 3 suns. And that's my redo.
How'd you do it? Did you use AI or did you just?
No, I went into Photoshop, played with one of their tools.
Oh, wow.
Murph's not here. He sent along 2. This was his first crack at it, which is very cool. And that's his second crack. I think I vote for number 1.
Did he say what he used? Did
No,
he use
he-
Photoshop probably?
No, he just sent them all.
Yeah, he doesn't.
That's Steve.
Yeah, that photograph was so spooky looking, on its own. Especially with no one there, whoever sees Williamsburg with no visitors. So I thought I'd bring in some visitors.
It was late at night when I took that shot.
Yeah.
Nobody understood. Ed did this. The other Ed.
The other was the other.
Nice guy. Okay. Nancy did this.
Oh, that's
This is
great.
big coffee, I just was moved around and they hit some preset somewhere and I got a chuckle and I said, okay, I'm done. No creativity, nothing.
I think that's
You know, creative.
good. I like it.
Not something I would do with my picture, I don't think.
And this is Anita.
I know Anita, she did this in Topaz, she used, color theme, I think she said, to adjust the colors, and then something else she played with for the drawing, but she did in Topaz Studio too.
She does Topaz. Yeah.
No text. It was some kind of, she used something to get a drawing effect, I don't remember what she said.
I don't think there are any others, because somebody.
I have one.
Ed's got one on his thumb drive.
This yours?
That's my name on one of the sides.
Oh, okay. I thought it said P3. That's it.
It should be.
This.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a generative AI with Adobe's Firefly program. Put in a prompt like, winter night with bright stars. Then I, layered it and used a blending mode so that both layers show through.
Ed, more work than I did.
And is that Firefly different from the Photoshop beta?
It's actually, Photoshop uses the Firefly engine, but if you go on firefly.adobe.com, it is.
I mean, I see it on my list of apps that will try this, so I need
Yeah.
to check it out.
Firefly.adobe.com is, where I think you go for that. If you do it in Photoshop, you have to create a selection first.
Yeah, or, yeah.
No, you have to create a selection first. But if you do it on Firefly, it's just
It's kind of a version of Midjourney or Dolly.
yeah.
I'm sorry?
It's like Midjourney or Dolly, and then AI.
Oh, okay.
Anyhow. Okay.
Is this gimmick worth continuing, this idea?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'll keep coming up with terrible photographs.
Terrible photographs.
Okay,
So a couple of my photo shares.
photo share.
That's it.
Nobody didn't share these before, but this was taken in Memphis on Beale Street. And like, so I don't know which one is crazier, the guy doing the flip or the guy letting him do the flip over him. But it was really cool.
That is your funny.
Yeah, here.
Yeah, there we go. What did he just take off from the ground?
Yeah, I mean, he had a running start, yeah.
Yeah.
He had a running start. And I think he's running from right to left.
Yeah.
So, I caught him, well, obviously on fast continuous on the shutter. It just, that was the one shot that I liked the best. This is a darling woman, smoking a cigar, and yeah, she's actually one of the band members, or the admin or something for the band. She actually did some singing. And I was just taking some pictures of her and, said, I gotta get one of you, portrait of you smoking your cigar. And she was all in for it. So, I got that shot. I think on the computer screen, it looks a lot better because you can actually see the bright, point of the cigar also. And I sent that one to her. She loved it. Right.
Yeah, the caveat with this stuff is between the light in here and the screen and everything, it's not gonna look great. It's not gonna look as bad.
Yeah.
Can we try these other things out?
Yeah.
That way,
Is there
that way I haven't.
It's the window, it's light in the window.
That's not.
Yeah.
And it's probably,
Yeah.
Hey, all right. That's sad. I didn't use one. Probably older. Well, you can overuse it, sure.
that's a picture I painted. Something I'd never done before. Karen, can you show the next one? Is that Photoshop? Yeah, that's where I started with.
Mix of brush.
And I just use simple stuff, and color paper, like had both things open, I picked the color, and then I just took a regular soft brush or hard brush, no fancy brush, and I painted.
Yeah.
Had some fun.
Okay.
Obviously, in market at Cross Creek. That's a multi-exposure in my neighborhood. I have no idea what the snowflakey things are, just with the camera capture. Don't know.
How many exposures did you do?
9.
9.
The respawn.
Maybe that's kind of what it looks like. Going up.
Color. This is color, so color reflections in the pond. Foliage. Thing. I was out one day and I tried to do some silhouettes. I got that one at Tuckahoe Creek, and then I thought, next, what's it look like reversed? I think it looks better.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, just reverse it. Color, full color.
Yeah, that was the challenge with color.
Yeah.
Okay.
I spent the last week in October down at the Outer Banks and hardly saw a cloud the whole time we were down there. It was cloudless sunrises and sunsets just about the whole time. And that was on the sound side, just after the sun had set. And it was also so calm. And I'm just getting some really cool shots. Just looking at the color of the sky was amazing.
Yeah, that is cool.
This is the same evening after the sun had set, just getting some silhouettes with the interesting coloration. This is down by Pea Island. I didn't see any good birds, but I did take a telephoto shot down the road of all of the poles there. So I took that shot. That's about the only clouds I saw that they were off on the horizon. This was up at in Corolla at Whalehead Club. I went up there for a sunset. Again, I knew there weren't going to be clouds, but there was a shot that I thought would be good. And there were some herons up there. There was a young heron and then an older one that I saw, but it was pretty close by. And this was what I really went up there for, was a shot. I thought that this bridge would look really cool at sunset with the glow in the sky. And when I was set up to do that, a heron came out and stood there for a few minutes. And I got the shot and then I moved on.
So you got light around it?
No, it was there. It was there, and I'm like, okay.
That's right in center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. You're going to preview.
And this was basically the shot that I was hoping to get. And then that heron was in the shot for, a little bit earlier. I had the sun through that arch, but there were a whole bunch of people standing on top of the bridge. So
It's
I
like
like
the
the fact-
Photoshop remove tools for.
Yeah. And this is in the morning. It was so calm on the sound. I went out, the sun was just rising over the ocean. So I went here when it was really calm. And I say, it just looked like it looked like a mirror. And and that pavilion out there is where people have dinner. That's connected to a restaurant. But there's a gate to keep you from getting out there, and it's locked. So I had to climb over the gate because I wanted to take pictures of those pilings that are off to the right there, that are in the next shots.
You didn't do that.
Huh? And that's the shot that.
The first shadow.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I mean, it was just, the sun hadn't yet come up, but it was lighting up the off in the distance. But it was just so incredibly calm. And then that was the sun hadn't yet come up high enough to hit this tree. I was standing on the boardwalk, and you know, again the reflection, but the sun was high enough to be lighting up the shore, which is, I believe, is about 3 miles away across the sound. And then I went out to Gardy Island Lighthouse. Again, can't really see them well here, but there were some stars in the sky at this point. But the sun was starting to come up. But it was just a really clear sky. And then this was from a platform where I've done bird photography before, looking back at the lighthouse and see the sun's about to come up off to the left.
And no tourists around.
Pardon?
No tourists to get in the way.
No, there was one other photographer, but he was back over by the parking lot.
What time did you start in the morning?
I think the sunrise, we got out there, I think we left about 5:30 to get out there. What was it saying as far as time?
6:59.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So I think we got out there by 6:30. I think it was what we were targeting for. And then the sun rose just after 7. And then from there, we went down into Manteo to the waterfront. And again, it was very calm, but a boat went by and they gave us some ripples. So I took that shot, and then I adjusted it in Topaz Studio 2. And then we had a full moon rise. This was the Hunter's moon, and it rose almost the exact same time as the sun was setting. So we went down to the beach for this one to get the moonrise. I picked up last week some flowers out of Wakeman's. This is a ranunculus, and they were really, really interesting flowers, and I got a number of good flower shots with them. And then I took this. I have a sheet of polished black plexiglass that I use as a mirror, which does a nice job for this sort of thing.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay, these are mine. Actually, I just driving down 360 a few weeks ago, and everything's harvested except for this one field. And I thought, got some nice color to it. It is very nice. It was up, actually from a winery in Charlottesville, and I'm still able to hold the camera, so. And same winery, same place. I don't have a clue what kind of flowers those were, but I thought it was kind of nice. Sitting in the yard, driving down Highway 6, coming home, I think, from the winery. It's funny. It almost looks like a toy car.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a toy truck, you know, a toy landscape. It's really cool, actually. This was at Powhatan State Park. Driving through there, I just saw the red flowers in the field, and so. Yeah, very good.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you. Yeah, that's probably, there's something wrong with it. I don't know, just like, well, I wouldn't say it was wrong, I just, it looked different, it looked so cool. It was a real truck. I think it was just old and well, but it was very saturated, so it really.
Chuck couldn't be here, but he sent me one. He went down to see. Yeah, he went down to see the 611 like the week after our last meeting, and he sent me this picture that he got. This is coming into Stanton.
So these are mine. You'll see a common theme here being the great blue heron. At Tuckahoe Creek Park, the water is during the summer is completely filled in, or almost completely filled in with vegetation. And as fall comes on, the leaves die back and more water is exposed. And during fall, you can get these really fantastic reflections of the leaves on the trees, and these are not showing up as bright as they would otherwise, but so all of these are just different colors that were reflected in the water with over a period of a couple of days with this great blue heron.
Nice.
And they all come out so differently that I was kind of obsessed. Easy to do that. You know, depending on where the heron was, where I was, you know, it was.
What were you shooting with? What lens were you using?
RF 100, 500 Canon. Okay. But he wasn't far away.
Yep. Nice colors.
Thanks. Yeah, I think since it was colored.
This is my first entry into the club. This is over there, I call it Spider Dining. That's over there at the University of Richmond.
Yep.
And basically, my forte is not exactly photography. It's basically post-production. So when I shoot a picture, I may have some skills, but mine, like I said, I excel a little bit more, or at least I'm probably more modest about that. So I like to put more pop in colors. Actually, it's fake sky in the background. But you'll see post-production version of my stuff more so than regular photography. This is the same lake over at University of Richmond. Right alongside of it, it's caught a nice reflection. Once again, the sky is fake. So I was able to pop it in and make it together.
What did the real sky look like?
pouring. I mean, I could show, someday in the future, I could show you before and afters when I do.
Washed out, maybe white gray.
Probably. In fact, the manipulation challenge that happened today was based, oh yeah, when they do the, when you do different filters, you can get the sky reflected in the lake too. But manipulation, I did about 8 different filters just to get the scene. This one's probably 5.
This is mine. And I went back again down to see the 611, and it was a little bit different this time. The color is more color and it's, well, I got these because there was more color up there, but the train was actually putting out black smoke this time. And I did too, to see here, I wanted to compare. To me, there was a few distracting elements like the electric wire and the telephone pole. So I went through and in this picture, I took them all out, which I believe is a little better, a little less distractions in it.
I think that would make an interesting photo share one time is to have a before and after.
Yeah.
Challenges.
Yeah, I think we've done that before.
We've done that before.
Yeah, that is interesting to see the different post process.
Yeah, this isn't finished.
And it was I'm not sure what made him put out the really black smoke this time, but it was interesting seeing the black smoke coming out of the train.
People taking photographs all along.
Yeah, there was quite a bit. And there was the first time we were there was a drone photographer. I've seen some drone photography from chasing the 611. And this is color. These are some macaws. And this was at the Rodden Custom Car Show one time. Lots of color.
Lots of color. Nice. Oh, this time, this is, if you go to Age Crop, a rainy day, you walk around to the back. You got some great stuff back here. This is obviously a rainy day. More rainy day stuff. This I was up on the east side and looking back towards the city, and I have no idea what happened, but that's how the sun came out. I didn't do anything with that. It just sort of looked like an exploding sun. Hollywood Cemetery, always a great spot for this kind of color, and I like the 3 monuments sticking up. Another Hollywood Cemetery. These were just great. Down on the island by the Hollywood Rapids, and I guess the sun must have been just right. You get that little gold in the water flowing by, but I didn't do anything.
Did you put that on a tripod with a slower shutter?
Oh yeah. Same. This is the waterfall at Maymont. That you've been back there. And again, I like just a little hint of color along the right side. Again, slower shutter speed. This was one of those rainy day shots. This is not touched. This was a photographer standing under an umbrella as the rain was pouring down, and that's how it came out.
Looks like an
Impressionist.
Yeah, it looks like a Monet.
An impressionist painting.
Yeah.
And so that's what I say. It is pouring sometimes. Get your umbrella and go out. And if you have a bigger umbrella, zip your coat up, stick the shaft down in there, and run over there, and you still have 2 hands to work with. And you can, if you're lucky, you get some impressions behind the type of shots.
I did see an umbrella that fits into the hot shoe on your camera.
However,
Yeah.
This is another one.
need to have
This is another.
flagpole.
This is another rainy day shot at.
Yeah.
At Main
It'll
Line.
blow out instead of blow over.
And again, it just looks, it gives me a painting.
Yeah.
It looks like a painting.
Where was this, Peter? Did you say also at Mainline?
Also, a Main Line, it's just, walking along, you just saw the bench, and the light was just right, and the rain just was perfect.
Kev, can you see what shutter speed you use on?
Thousands of seconds.
Wow, that's I would have thought it would be a slower shutter speed. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it was.
So the camera is capturing, is freezing the rain as it's falling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a little prisms almost.
So it's a 2.8
Yeah.
average, right?
Yeah.
2.8.
Yeah.
Not much depth of field.
No, but that's
That's what you want.
what I wanted. I wanted to try to get that painting. And again, I didn't do anything with whatever Pope had or anything. Just how it's going on. So go on the rain. Just some reflections, few reflections. Again, more tree reflections. Yeah, I'm gonna say
Yeah.
This is again, this is
So my
down,
camera doesn't even have any kind of.
down the back of H sections. I don't know what they are, but it's that same rainy day.
And that is all.
Okay,
Nice.
those were our challenges. But I think I'd like to do in the future one is before and after, see what you can come up with, take your ordinary photograph and do something with it.
There was one thing that,
So in December, next month, we're having our party.
next month's the party.
January is the typical business meeting, whatever.
And you,
Yeah,
and you, Ed.
and you.
Okay,
yeah.
What am I doing? Oh.
And Costa.
And Costa.
Costa.
Oh, before you leave,
I have to do one more thing. We have 3 of our world famous mugs. Yeah. They're on sale. They're originally $55. That's not true. They're originally $18. But if anyone wants them, give us $10 and we'll just be giving them. Otherwise, MJ has to take them home.
and they really work, right, Ray?
Yeah, 18.
Yeah, they work.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for coming.
Well, 2 more things. Well, number one, you can tell them to keep your coffee hot for like 6 hours. Very long.
That's your sales pitch.
Yeah. But number 2, I think I mentioned to you about putting on the agenda for today, what kind of donations the folks gonna make.
Oh, okay.
For Harold to take care of it.
Yeah. Each year we give a donation to somebody, some group, or do you have a suggestion? We've given it, what was it last year? Feed more.
Do we do feed more?
Yeah, we did the Flipmore and we did the James River, something other. I think I sent the list to you. I don't know. If you,
I don't think I didn't get it.
oh,
No. Anywhere, does anybody have a suggestion? We have a little bit of money left over. We sent, what did we send? Couple $100.
yeah, no, well, yeah, a couple hundred total.
Couple $100 total.
Yes.
I like the idea of a food bank.
I like the idea of a food bank too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And we did the central one, covered all the areas, Hanover and all Chesterfield, etc.
Central Food Bank.
Yeah.
Whatever we send, whatever we can send, let's make a donation to that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll agree.
Yes.
All right, good.
Did you want to do the James River?
Well, I'd rather do the food banks. I think a lot of people are having some problems.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of problems out there. Food bank would be a good cause.
So you're talking about doing 200 to?
I wouldn't mind.
Yes, I would, all 200 to the food bank.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Second.
Okay.
Works for me.
We're going to have
our end of the year party, and I'm sure we'll send you an email out. If you would like to volunteer to pick up some goodies for our party, that would be great. You will be reimbursed. Just let us know. I think it will be in the next newsletter. And don't forget to send your images, because last year Kemp did a great job of streaming.
All of the photo share for the entire year.
Oh, great.
And he put it on the list.
Super, that's even
But only the ones that you sent me.
The ones, right, the ones that were sent to me, if you have some that you brought in and you would like them to be, send them to me. But the deadline would be a little bit earlier than like the Saturday before, because I want to try to do it like I did before, and that it takes a little bit of time to do that. So I'll send you an earlier deadline on when they're.
Yeah, so if you just did them on your own thumb drive, but didn't send them to Kemp, resend them, and he'll make sure they get on this.
Sounds good.
Okay.
And the last thing is for is, I guess, my official duty as treasurer. I know we had 3 new members. I think I got money from one that I deposited. I don't know MJ, if you have the rest of them or not, or.
I'm sorry, I was writing.
Oh, sorry. The money from the new members. You have it. Check.
Oh gosh, yeah, I've got 2 envelopes for you.
Okay.
Thanks for reminding me.
And I think after Ray's heroic efforts, he deserves a.
Thank you.
And that's it.
It's been my pleasure.
We sort of had it ramrodded through the last time, by courtesy of the kid. And I think everybody who's heard of Ordinary will agree. You're the only new one. That's mine.
Yeah, I'm a party.
So we can assign him on a.
So no formal.
No formal election. You were appointed.
You were elected by acclamation.
You are.
You got
I need to get my